We'll continue. Let's go back into Surah chapter 1 now, I believe, where it says, I believe is, bear with me if I can't find it this way. This is a precept in Surah 1, somewhere around. There's one right here. It says, right, let's get this one here. It says, to fear Yahweh is fullness of wisdom, and filled men with her fruits. So in order for you to fear Yahweh, you must have fullness of wisdom. How do you access or gain fullness of wisdom, which is to keep what's his commandment pertaining to Sirach 19 and verses 20. So you see how easy it is to show. So let's go back. This is why we keep saying, and again, we're supposed to be rehearsing righteous acts, but many people still don't have the understanding of that. This is why the same people that had faith and trust and fear Yahweh Bashim Yahushai according to the scriptures. Let's get a precept before you continue. This is the book of Wisdom, chapter 3 and verses 9, where it says, they that put their trust in him shall understand the truth. What is the truth? We know what the truth is at this point. The ways of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai and his laws, his ways. Such as be faithful in love shall abide with him, for grace and mercy is to his saints, and he had care for his elect. So those that are faithful and obedient unto his word, those are the ones that is going to be saved, who's going to receive that exponential grace and mercy, who's going to be taken up by the chariots, the predestinated ones, because they understand the assignment at the end of the day. All right? They understand the assignment. It's not for everybody. But many people still try to profess and say, we have faith, we don't know how to keep the word, which is what they had been trying to do. Now let's get our precept immediately. Romans chapter 3. Let's cut every act of idiocy according to the scriptures. If you're not learned in the scriptures, then it is what it is. But Romans chapter 3 and verses 31, it says, do we then make void the law through faith? Power forbid. Yea, we establish the law. What does it mean to establish? Because many people still stuck here saying that we're not supposed to. What does it mean to establish? Let's get a precept immediately. Let's get a definition of it. To establish. To establish, to make stable, to firm or to confirm, to form, to found, to set up, to institute. To what? Institute. To appoint, to adopt. As an officer, laws, regulations, and guidelines, etc. To ordain, to prove, to cause, to be accepted as truth, to demonstrate, or in my words, to put in effect. So you can't say you read the scriptures and we don't know nothing, yet you are teaching against the scriptures, against Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, because you have that spirit. Kind of reminds me of the Pharisees when they went to Mark chapter 7. Let's get that precept immediately. Chapter 7 and verse 6, and let's get that precept in verse 6. So I don't want to cut this off, so pull it down a little bit. Where it says, he answered and said, straight to the point, he answered and said unto them, well had Isaiah prophesied of you hypocrites, as it is written, this people honored me with their lips, which they are doing today. And they're not even calling it the correct name. So they're not even honoring him at this point. But their heart is far from me. And this is what it is. How do you have a heart for Yahweh Bashim Yahushai? What did David do to show his heart towards Yahweh Bashim Yahushai? Many of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai's friends, which are Abraham and coming down. What did they do? They had faith and they were obedient unto the words of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, which is his commandments. Verse 7, howbeit in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men, which they are doing today. Because these same people, I shit you not, will celebrate their birthday, celebrate Christmas, celebrate Easter. But when it comes to the Passover and all these things, they literally say, literally said out of their own mouth, these things are no longer to be done. Yet in the New Testament, we have people, much like Yahushua and others, keeping the Passover, keeping these holy feasts, these feasts of tabernacle and all these other things. Where is your mind at this point in time? Where is your mindset? I don't understand. You're not reading enough, or you're not understanding. Is there a illiteracy in as to how far you could go considering reading and understanding? Because verse 8 made it clear, for laying aside the commandment of power, ye hold the tradition of men as the washing of pots and cups, and many other such things, such like things ye do. Verse 9, let's stop at there. It says, and power, and he said unto them, fully well ye reject the commandment of power, that ye may keep your own traditions, which is happening today. This is why this person could come and say, we don't have to keep the law again, because they just want to stay in their own traditions. They like their own traditions. They find it easier because it's sin. Sin at this point in time, especially the chains that we are in, because the Bible says the creature is made subject to vanity, the chains that we are in, it's much easier to transgress than to do the truth, than to fight these spirits and keep the ways of the Father. It's much easier to transgress. This is why you fight now to do this way, which is the traditions of men, and reject the commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Am I wrong? It's in the scriptures. But at the end of the day, there's nothing y'all could say against what I'm about to bring out. Because if you had that faith in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, and you read this precept, then you would understand that at the end of the day, the commandments is not going to be done away with. Let's be real. Let's read. This is Mark chapter 5 and verse 17. Let's get straight to the point. When Yahushua spoke, and he says, think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. I come not to destroy, but to fulfill. Let's get a definition of the word fulfill. Fulfill, right? Right. Okay, I spelled it wrong. So, right, fulfill. To satisfy, to carry out, to bring to completion, to obligations, right? It says to satisfy, to develop one's gift to the fullest, to obey, to follow, to comply. That's the point, because when I go into the NLT Better Bible, and we can get that same definition in the exact same precept. So that is why I like to go into definition so you could see for yourself. The internet not okay. Let me see if I can pause. Bear with me. See if I can. I'll just put in the internet. Let me see if I get something going on. At least fulfill, to fulfill, which is
Strong's G 4137. Plerao.
This is very perfect. Going down, to fulfill, i.e., to cause power's will, as made known in the law, to obey as it should be, and power's promises given through the prophets to receive fulfillment. That's all it is. I was going to say to cram, to level up. You understand? To furnish. How you furnish? By learning. To furnish. To diffuse, to influence, to satisfy, to execute. It doesn't go on to say, well, he complete the law and that's it, because he has not complete all the laws. There are laws given for females. There are laws given if he touched death. So these things would not be recommended for a man or somebody who has touched death, a dead body, in a sense. So come on, let's at this present point in time, we need to stop playing with the scriptures, because it goes on to say, as it continues, for verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass. Has it passed yet? No, it has not. One jot or one tittle in no wise shall pass from the law till all be fulfilled. Again, the exact same precept I want to read it in the NLT. So let me see if I can get that connection back. Okay, good. Right, we get it here. Let me get it in NLT. Verse 18. It says, "For I tell you the truth, until heaven and earth disappears, not even a small detail of God's law will disappear until its purpose is achieved." Has it been achieved yet? Has all been fulfilled yet? No. There's still prophecies which is written in the Torah, which has not come to pass yet, like the destruction of Esau, Edom, the Amaleks, right, and many other things. Us being brought back according to the covenants and all these things. So come on, we need to establish this point. Has all been fulfilled? A direct answer is no. All has not been fulfilled. So if all has not been fulfilled, and you are the side trying to teach against the laws of Yahweh Shem Shai, you are going to receive judgment, because it says in verse 19, "Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven." It says, "For I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven." See? So you're teaching against the scriptures, against the laws. We feel what happened here. So all I'm saying at the end of the day, we know that faith is very important, but faith is what allows you to do the will of the Father which is in heaven, which is his commandments. And you know you can't deny that, because when they go into the scriptures, what John chapter 3 and verses 17 says, we are supposed to believe in who? Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Let's read. Let's get to the point. It says, "For power sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but the world through him might be saved. He that believeth in him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he had not believed in the name of his only begotten Son." Son of power. Right? So you see that mentioned and written clear. What did Yahweh Shai say to do? Let's just, if we remain in John, we're staying in John. Let's get a precept right here. We're staying in John. We're not moving from John. Again, in this, we can move it faster. John chapter 14 and verse 15. What did John say? What did Yahweh Shai say in the book of John? "If ye love me, keep my commandments. And I will pray the Father, and he shall give you another comforter, that he may abide with you forever." What is that comforter is for? Even the Spirit of truth. That's who the comforter is. To bring that wisdom back onto you. So how do you love Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua? Is to keep the commandments, because according to the scriptures, when you fear Yahweh and you keep the commandments, all wisdom is attained unto you. Roughly paraphrasing. We can get a precept yet again to prove our course, because we're not speaking out of our own accord here. Let's read it. To fear Yahweh is all wisdom, and in all wisdom is the performance of the law and knowledge of its omnipotency. In order to gain that, you have to perform the law. Next precept again. "If thou desire wisdom, keep the commandments, and Yahweh shall give her unto thee." So as far as we understand, that is why he said, "If ye love me, keep my commandments," and he's going to send a comforter which shall abide with you forever, as we understand. So how would you expect to receive any wisdom if you're not following the guidelines of the scriptures? Remember Isaiah 8 and 20, "To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, that's because there's no light in them." And the light according to that is the understanding and the ways of Yahweh Shem Shai, which is the law. It still goes back to that. When you go into Proverbs chapter 6, verse 23, what it says, "For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light. And reproof of instructions are the way of life," because the law is going to give you what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do. So you could stay away from the sinful ways and adhere to the ways of Yahweh Shem Shai, to remain faithful and in that light, having that wisdom. Go back into John 3:19 one time. Let's go into it. As it continues to say, John 3 and verse 19 says, and this is the condemnation, that light is come on into the world, and men loved darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. So we know who this is speaking about at this point in time, which is who? Not the whole world, but who? The children of Israel, because only they were given the commandments or the light, and many of them has fallen short of that light and fallen into darkness. It's evident. It's very, very clear. This is why, as we continue, I will always continue to see, which when you go into John chapter 3, we know this precept by now, and verses. Chapter 1, 1 John chapter 5, verses 1 to 3. We know this precept. We always bring out this precept of sources. Let's read it. Whosoever believeth in Yahushua is the Hamashiach, that Yahushua is the Mashiach, is born of power, and everyone that loveth him, that begat, love at him, also that is begotten of him. It says, be this, we know that we love the children of power, when we love power and keep his commandments. How do you know you love him? When you follow his guidelines. That is how you show your love to him. For this is love, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. So you see, this is our faith now in Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, the works that we provide, which is his ways. At the end of the day, you believe in him, you are going to follow him, and what he says, you are going to do. It's simple as you can get it. But you know what? Nah, I's my own man. I can eat pork, I can celebrate these things, I can do what I want. This is the mindset of Christians today. This is why they will never be able to get until the kingdom. Our people specifically, that is in that religion, will never get until the kingdom, to be exact. We get one more precept to seal your understanding before you close out, right? This is the last precept here. And you know I was going to this too. Sirach 32 and verses 23, it says, in every good work trust thy own soul, for this is the keeping of the commandments. He that believeth in Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai taketh heed to the commandments, and he that trusteth in him shall fear never the worst. So what is your belief? How do you establish your belief? How do you perform your belief? By keeping of the commandments, the ways of the Father which is given unto us. This is why Yahushai kept his until the end. This is why the prophets, even after Yahushai, has been keeping it, even till this day. You can't put a separation in that. You cannot. You can't do anything against but for the truth. So I hope this lesson is edifying. I will say Shalom Yasharala, Kal Halalia, Yahweh, B'Hashem, Yahushai, B'Hashem, Mekakodash. Give that belongs to the apostles and prophets and elders of James Camp, but I'm great Glenstone, for the bring forth the 100% truth that I've been currently edified under. Shalom to the elect, Tabernacle of David, and I am Brother Zariak saying to you, Shalom.